So we know that more fighters and likely fighters passes will be coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in the future. Since the beginning of the DLC, I and many others had questioned if maybe we would get an Echo Fighters pass. Since Echo Fighters were a new addition to this game, I wouldn't be surprised if we got at least one Echo Fighter for DLC, if not an Echo Fighters pass. So today, I'll be going through some of my ideas for some Echo Fighters, and the chance of getting an Echo Fighters pass in the future. So first off, let's start with the 5 characters I think could be Echo Fighters. First off is a character that first comes to mind when me and many other people think of Echo Fighters, Funky Kong. He would obviously be an Echo Fighter for Donkey Kong, as they do share a similar body type. Now we do know that Echo Fighters can have some differences aside from just model and voice, such as idle animations as we can see with Daisy, and even some moves like we see with Chrome's Up Special. Since this is DLC, I wouldn't be surprised if extra work is put on each of these Echo characters. So the main change I think he would have would be his surfboard for his Up Special. His idle animations would fit more with his energy, and his voice would be his voice instead of just gorilla noises like Donkey Kong. The only real problem I could see with Funky being added would be that he's not only a spirit, but one of the Master Spirits. While I don't think Launch Spirits deconfirm fighters, I just don't think that they help their chances at all. Still though, if there were to be an Echo Fighters pass, Funky is a must. Next up is one for one of our newer characters, the Inklings. Their Echo Fighter would obviously be the Octolings, most likely based off their Splatoon 2 design. In 2018, Splatoon 2 was updated with a new campaign featuring Octolings as the main protagonists. Now I don't know a lot about Splatoon, but from what I've seen, I would imagine that they wouldn't be much different from Inklings. Since you can play with them alongside Inklings online, I would imagine they wouldn't be too different. I would say that for all their moves where the Inkling turns into their squid form, they would be in their octopus form instead. The Octolings and Splatoon in general are definitely popular enough to get another character, so I wouldn't be surprised if this happens. The Octolings also already have a spirit, but it's just a normal one and not a special one like Funky. Now next up is a character that I'm honestly surprised isn't already an Echo, or at least an old costume, being Mrs. Pacman. She's a fairly popular aspect of the Pacman universe, and since she acts and looks a lot like Pacman, she'd be an easy addition to make. Seeing as Namco works on Ultimate, I highly doubt that there was a licensing issue with Mrs. Pacman, so I'm unsure why she isn't in at least as an alt, especially seeing how mediocre Pacman's alts already are. As for differences between the two, the main thing I thought of is when Pacman goes into his OG Pacman look, Miss Pacman would use her old sprite instead of using Pacman's. Aside from that, I don't think much changes would be needed, aside from some other few aesthetic changes like animations. Mrs. Pacman also doesn't have a spirit. She only has a brief cameo on the Pac-Land stage. Also, if you play on the Pac-Land stage long enough to know this, I'm so sorry. Finally, unless they get a new rep for Fighter 5, which I think they might, Namco only has one rep, despite them helping with the development of Super Smash Bros. So if they make an Echo Fighters pass, I could definitely see Miss Pacman coming. While Pokemon is the franchise with technically the most fighters, they don't actually have any Echo Fighters. So let's give one for the mascot himself, Pikachu. Now in pretty much every Pokemon game, there's a Pokemon that looks basically like a clone, or looks very similar to Pikachu. So first let's eliminate some options. Obviously Gen 2 had Pichu, who's already in, but I doubt Gen 3's Plusle and Minun, Gen 4's Patricio, and Gen 5's Emolga would work due to their smaller model. Gen 6's Dedenne and Gen 7's Mimikyu and Togedemaru are already Pokeball Pokemon, so they likely wouldn't be in either. This leaves 2 Gens and 2 Pikachu lookalikes. Raichu, my personal favorite, and Pikachu's evolution, and the brand new Pokemon Morpeko. Now for these two, I think Raichu would fit a lot better, as I feel like if they wanted to add more Piku, they'd want to include their Hungry mechanic. Raichu is also a better fit, as he is, well, Pikachu's evolution. Raichu would be slower than Pikachu, but stronger, just like in the games. Now while this may annoy some people because we're getting the whole Pikachu line being playable, we basically already have 4 Marths, so I don't really see too much of an issue with this. Now for these last few characters, I wanted to mention them, but I really didn't know much about each of them, so we'll run through them very quickly. First off is Ninten from Mother 1 or Earthbound Beginnings. Ninten obviously resembles Ness a lot, and it would be cool to have all 3 Mother protagonists. Black Shadow for Captain Falcon. Aside from Yoshi, F-Zero is the only franchise to not have gotten a new character since Smash 64, and Yoshi is basically just part of the Mario franchise. So it would be nice to have another F-Zero character, and it seems like Black Shadow would fit the best. Many characters could be echoes for Olimar and Alf, like Louie, Charlie, or Brittany. As someone who hasn't played Pikmin, I'm not sure who would it be. Maybe Rock Pikmin could be included if one of the characters for Pikmin 3 are chosen, as that was originally planned for Owl. Finally, a Fire Emblem character. Who? I have no idea, but you can be pretty sure that they would add one if there's an Echo Fighter's Pass. I'd say most likely an Echo for Ike, as he's the most, I guess, generic of the three without Echoes. Now, do I think we'll get an Echo Fighter's Pass? Well, I'm unsure, but I'd be very surprised if we don't get at least one new Echo Fighter as DLC. They added in a whole new type of character, and seeing as Echoes are much easier to develop than normal characters, I don't think anybody would complain. Well, at the very least, they wouldn't complain if the price is reasonable. I bet each Echo Fighter would be around $2 to $4 each, and if they made a pass of 5, it'd be around $10. Echoes definitely should be cheaper than a normal fighter, and since they likely wouldn't come with other new things like stages, the pass should be fairly cheap. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you think we'll get an Echo Fighter for DLC? And if so, who do you think it'll be? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, or maybe even subscribe, as it would help me out a huge bunch. One last thing before we go is that this new outro was made by Reese, so make sure to go check him out. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.